I remember meeting him for the first time at the agency. That's a meeting where I walked in and there he was in his leather jacket, Charlie Bronson, and he started talking and I was kind of thinking about what he was saying. So I wasn't saying very much. And he kept talking and he kept talking and I remained silent and I remained silent. And he stopped at one point and he said, "You don't want to work with me, do you?" And I said, No, I'd love to work with you. I'm just thinking about what you're saying. And he went, "Oh." He goes, "Okay, because normally, the director's talking and talking and talking." And I go, "Well," I could do that, but I'd really rather just, you know, think about some of the stuff you're talking to me about so I can say something half decently intelligent at the end of it." And I think that kind of made a big difference in terms of how our relationship got started, because I wasn't really trying to sell myself, simply because I was sitting with this iconic film guy that I grew up with. And, I was kind of thinking, oh, wow, Charlie Bronson, look at that. And I was going through this whole kind of stream of consciousness in my own mind.
The final theatrical release of Charles Bronson would be the fifth installment of the role he'd become known for, Paul Kersey. The film was Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. The first Death Wish was legendary. Kersey's wife is raped and murdered brutally, and so Kersey seeks vigilante justice. It became a landmark action film and overshadowed the rest of Bronson's brilliant career. How big was it? Bronson was in The Dirty Dozen, The Magnificent Seven, and The Great Escape. Since then, Death Wish has become a blueprint for action movies, like John Wick, Taken, and even the latest Rambo film. But Charles Bronson hated the movie, hated the philosophy of vigilantism, and was actually heading in a new direction when Death Wish 5 came a-knocking. So, here's the behind-the-scenes story of Death Wish 5. Director Alan Goldstein.
Charlie and I were both at the same talent agency, which was called APA. And so the guy who ran APA, who was the head of it, Arnold Rifkin, Charlie was one of his really major clients. And I had just recently moved from New York to LA in seeking representation. They're really high-powered profile talent agency, and they took me on as a client. And then APA decided to team the two of us up on a different show, on another show that on a movie that Charlie was going to be doing at Warner Brothers, which was really, it was an anti-vigilante movie. It was exactly the opposite of everything he had done with the Death Wish franchise, which he hated. He didn't ever want to do another Death Wish again. And this was a really excellent, I can't even remember the title of it, but it was great. It was a great project. And, it could have been one of those projects that kind of revived, his reputation and him in terms of the view of who Charlie Bronson was. Because, of course, he's the antithesis of that Paul Kirby person. He's not like that at all. He was really he was a huge gentleman. I mean, I remember how gentle he was, like on the set. If there would be like a spider or something, he would never kill it. He'd put it in his hand, go trudge to the door, bring it out. He was like a Buddhist. He's like very, very, very gentle, kind guy. That literally the antithesis of his screen presence in that respect. And so it was really, really an excellent project, and I was very excited to do it. And then that show went into turnaround, and then Menachem Golan, leapt at the opportunity of Charlie being available and offered him Death Wish 5, which Charlie said he would only do if I directed it. I was a drama director. I wasn't an action director. So I'd never even seen a Death Wish. I had no idea what it was. So that took a little bit. I actually didn't want to do it. They threatened to fire me if I wouldn't. They were going to throw me out of the agency. They called me. I was in England at the time, and I basically said, I don't do movies with numbers at the end of them. And I had just come from New York. I really didn't understand the dynamics of Hollywood at all. Arnold Rifkin called me in England, and he said, well, okay, that's fine. That's your choice. But if you choose to do that, Charles Bronson is a major client here at this agency. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But you can't be part of the agency any longer. So that was like, oops. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was the first action picture that I'd ever made, and I said that to Charlie. I said, you really shouldn't be hiring me for this. I am not an action director. And he said, the action's easy. It's a drama that's hard, and the tone that's hard. He says, I'll show you how to do the action. There's nothing to it. I said, okay, let's give it a try. That's how it happened. And, I'm happy I did, and that I met Charlie.
Goldstein and Bronson decided to put a new spin on the formulaic Death Wish and make it far more like Home Alone, with over-the-top deaths, like being dissolved in acid, an exploding soccer ball, and Charles Bronson slowly watching someone die after feeding them a poisoned cannoli.
Well, it was a consequence of the previous project, which was supposed to be an anti-vigilante movie, and then here we are making another movie that glorifies vigilantism. So we thought, okay, well, and I said to him, yeah, I don't know, and he's saying, well, why don't we just do like a slight wink of the thing to people? And that kind of tweaked my interest. That was good. And so I was able to take the script, which was just a complete paint by numbers Death Wish movie, and, change it, and also in the direction of it, change it, so that the tone, so that it didn't disappoint Death Wish 5 fans, because, I appreciate that they love the stuff. I didn't want to cast aspersions on what they liked, but I wanted to just we both wanted to just while still, realizing the loyalty of the fans, change it just enough that they weren't going to get, upset about it, but they would feel it was a little different. I called ours, when you remember Toys R Us, I called this show Deaths Are Us, and just to come up with the most ridiculous ways to be able to kill people. And we would sit around and laugh about it. Oh, that's crazy, let's do it. No, he was happy with them all. I think he liked the cannoli a lot, and he liked the soccer ball. He liked the exploding soccer ball. He thought that was very funny. He liked it. We would chuckle. I mean, of course, sticking somebody, doing a Saddam Hussein to somebody in a woodchuck and a wood chipper, which, this is pre-Saddam Hussein. I never would have come up with that. But putting Chuck Shimada into a wood chipper, that was a bit much. But I think he liked the wrap, the kind of plastic wrap on that poor guy who was a fireman. He just enjoyed it because it was like, we were really kind of kids in a death candy shop, I guess.
These ideas seem to have invigorated Bronson, who plays it with a wink and a smile instead of sleepwalking through the picture.
He wasn't walking through it. He was enjoying it. And he was also, coming out of a long grieving period with his wife having passed away, who he had loved insanely. And that was a big thing, for him. He when Jill Ireland passed away, that was a really big thing for him. And, he just stopped doing everything throughout her bouts of cancer and was just with her the whole time. So there was a lot going on at the time outside of the movie making.
The final shot of Bronson ending his legendary career in theaters would be him walking through a lit doorway in silhouette, saying,
"Hey, Lieutenant, if you need any help, give me a call."
A fitting end to Bronson and his character.
I remember it very well. I can see it in my mind right now when we discuss it. And no, I designed a shot and I described it to him and I said, okay, that's it. It's your last. You're never doing a death wish again. This is it. You're walking into the light. Keep on walking. He goes, you said it. I am never doing another one of these again. This was it for him. He was not going to do. He wasn't going to do this one, but I think he needed the money, and they offered him a ridiculously enormous amount of money to do this thing, and he just couldn't say no to it. And I go, yeah, but we had fun. And he said, yes, we did. I believe we did that shot just after we melted Michael Parks. Unlike every other actor I'd written with, we always said, you have your hair and makeup people. And for your star, you normally have their specific hair and makeup person. But Charlie never, this is a good thing, is a good anecdote. Charlie never, ever, ever did makeup. All he did was he would put his eyebrows were graying a little bit. He would take a little, whatever, mascara, wherever the heck it is, and put it on his eyebrows, and that's it. And then he'd put just some powder so that you didn't get the shine of the lights, but no makeup whatsoever. And I used to say, why don't you do some makeup? We get you your own makeup person. He goes, Alan. I go, what? He goes, look at all those guys. I look at them all. He goes, what do you see? I go, they look good. He goes, look at my face. What do you see? I go, it looks like the Grand Canyon, man. It's like full of wrinkles and ravines. He says, exactly. He says, I'm the one that stands out. So I've never used makeup. I like all of these creases and everything. It's life on your lines, and it's always distinguished me from every other actor. I thought, wow, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. And it's true. It's true. Even when you watch any of them, Great Escape, good any of the stuff he's in, his mug is always like that. And that was a very interesting insight into Bronson himself, where he definitely became a star, and he reinvented himself a couple of times, but he never lost sight of that he was actually Charlie Baczynski from Pennsylvania.